Right, I'm live. I'm going to give it a few minutes or a couple of minutes to let some people join. Hopefully we're live on, where are we live? Instagram and a couple of places in Facebook. Excellent. Obviously what I've got today is, it hasn't given me Instagram. Okay, let's get Instagram up on my phone and do it like that if I can. I wonder if I can do it here. Right. There we go. Instagram is having to be done on my phone because it won't do it through the laptop. So now I've got to look at two. If I'm not looking at you at Instagram, I'm not looking at you on Facebook, that's because I have it going on two things. Right, so I'm interviewing my client today. My client Simon, I'm interviewing. He came to me about 14 months ago, wanting to be in the best shape of his life for his 40th birthday. He was 23 and a half stone, wanted to get to 18 stone. And, you know, we started last October, and here we are. This is actually his 40th birthday tomorrow. So we thought it was a perfect time to do the interview because we've basically come to the end of the time for what his goal is set. And he has lost he's just lost just over 100 pounds, which is about, 7.2 stone. It's an incredible story. And I hope those watching this will be inspired by it, learn from it. We're going to discuss like all the things we've done, you know, how we've got through lockdowns and, you know, how he's got through Christmas and New Year and all these things he's had to do to, you know, to lose 7 stone consistently over the year. So I'm going to bring him in now.
Hello.
How we doing?
Very well. How are you?
Yeah, I just realized I was going to put, I got this new software that didn't let me do Instagram. So I've put Instagram on and then realized I can't put you in Instagram because unless you got your phone on you, but then it's like, we won't worry about it for now. But how are you anyway?
Yes, very well. Thank you, mate. Yeah, big day tomorrow, obviously. And just enjoying the last day of my 30s.
Yeah, I was just, yeah, you've reached the big 4-0 before me just. I was just saying, like, obviously it's perfect because like I was saying, you came to me last October wanting to, you know, lose some weight for your 40th. And we were talking about doing this interview a few weeks. I was getting eager because I was looking forward to sharing your story. And you were like, well, actually, let's just wait till the night before, like the last day and get it done the night before your birthday. So happy birthday for tomorrow.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to. So for those, like I just introduced you, this is my client Simon. Do you want to? The way I want to start this, I just want the journey. I want to go through the journey because I think everyone, like I said to you before we started, I think those watching this will resonate with your story because it's quite typical. You know, it's the typical. You haven't been overweight for just a couple of months or a year or two. You know, you've struggled for a while. You know, you've tried it. You know, like we said, I was actually Simon's personal trainer many years ago, just before I did a lot more of the nutrition stuff. I just helped you with like more deadlift and squatting. And now here we are. And now here we are, you know, a year after we started, or just over a year, and you've lost this just over 7 stone. And I'm really excited to just talk about that, the journey. So can you just like, you know, just in your own words say, like, just maybe a brief history of your relationship with food or how long you've struggled with your weight? When did you first start to notice you were kind of, you know, gaining weight, or just like go through the way it started, mate?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it starts quite a long time ago, actually. So, I mean, when I was at school, I was quite a skinny kid, actually. I was quite active. I was never very good at sport, but used to try my best, football and rugby and whatnot. Remember going to university, playing a bit of rugby there. I think it was my second year of university. At the end of it, I thought, I've put on a fair bit of timber here. I need to do something about it. And then I actually did the slim fast diet between the end of my second year and the start of my third year, and I lost 2 or 3 stone, and that was quite hard to do. You know, a couple of shakes and a normal dinner is what they always say.
Yeah, I remember the advertising.
Yeah, and then I got back into like quite good shape again, and then eventually I left university, got into the real world, got a job. And I don't think I really thought about my weight for a while. I remember there was one day, one of my first girlfriends I was with, she had bought these new scales, and I thought, I'll give myself away. And I remember the last time I'd weighed myself, I was 17 stone, and I got on her scales, and I remember it really well. I was 19 stone 8, just from nowhere, right? And I thought, shit, where's that come from? I just kind of slept walk into it. Although at that point, I didn't really think much of it. I just thought, I can lose that. You know, go for a few runs. It will be fine. but then I didn't do anything about it. And then the next time I weighed myself, which was probably a couple of years later, I was over 20 stone. And at that point, I thought, right, I've got to start doing something about this now. And it was around the time England won the Rugby World Cup. So it's like 2003. Everyone was rugby mad. And I went back to like playing some social rugby. I got myself into quite good shape again. And I got down to about 18 stone. And I was hitting the gym, hitting the weights, really enjoying it, actually in quite good shape again. But then I got a bit of a knee injury. I had to stop playing. And then my weight, I think, just gradually increased over time, like from there. And then I think probably from about certainly the last 10 years, I probably got to the start of the year and I said, right, I'm going to lose 6 or 7 stone this year. I've told all my mates. And then I've had a really good first, 3 months. And then I'd get to, I was saying to you before you came on, get to Easter, think, right, I'm going to have a load of Easter eggs. And then kind of the rest of the year, it's like, well, I put a bit of weight on again. I'll just leave it till next year. And then gradually over time, I mean, if I had like a graph of my weight between, say, 2010 and now, you'd probably see a few spikes, but it would have just linearly increased almost. And I think there's been so many years where I've said, had the same goal at the start of the year, just saying, right, I'm going to lose a bit of weight this year. And I've not got round to it for various reasons, made all the excuses under the sun. And I think in terms of, why has this year been different? I think certainly toward the end of last year, my parents had moved house and I hadn't seen them for a few months. I remember one day going and seeing them and thinking how much, like in a few months, how much older they looked. And they're both, suffering from different age-related ailments. And that just, really got me kind of reflecting on like my own mortality and kind of what I was doing to my own body. Because I was, I've been north of 20 stone for years and years and years. And you don't see too many, 60 plus year old people who are over 20 stone. And it really just got me thinking, maybe it's time actually, really do something about this. Let's cut the bull. Let's just, do something about it. And you, as you said earlier, you were my personal trainer a long time ago. And we stopped. I think I moved jobs, so it wasn't convenient to come to the gym you're working at. So I really love going to the gym. Really enjoyed weightlifting, all that sort of stuff. Enjoyed that for a long time, but it was just the diet part of things which was really holding me back. So I needed to just try and find something which was going to be more sustainable for me. Because throughout all my various attempts throughout the years, I probably tried all sorts of things. So I mentioned the Slim Fast diet.
Yeah, what else have you done? What else have you done? I'm interested.
I want to say I was kind of successful with that to a degree, but is it really success if you end up in a worse place, further down the line? Probably not. But that took a monumental, just mental effort to maintain for 3 months, because you're just having a milkshake for breakfast, a milkshake for lunch, maybe a fruit, and then just dinner and whatnot. But I've tried all sorts of diets, nothing like too weird, like the cabbage soup diet and all that kind of stuff. But I have tried things like the Atkins diet, so very very low carbohydrate, and that was actually great for you try it for a couple of weeks, and you can eat loads of meat and fat, and it's great for a little bit of time, but after a while you're just so fatigued and you just want chocolate, and bad stuff again. So that never really worked, and I probably tried different like iterations of that. There's other variations.
Yeah.
I think they call it the keto diet now. But same thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah. I remember the first time I remember the first time I saw the Atkins diet. I didn't know anything about nutrition, and I was watching like an American TV and an American shopping channel. And I remember the guy specifically saying, "I've lost all this much weight, and all I eat is eggs and bacon." And he was saying how like the body transitioned into like a fat burning machine. First I've ever heard about it. And even I was like, "Wow, this sounds amazing." And now looking back, I think, nah, I would never. I've never tried it. I wouldn't do it because I prefer the carbs and stuff. But it's interesting that you've gone through. You hit the nail on the head there. A lot of the things you've tried in the past, you have and this is important to everyone. They have the initial success because in the beginning you're full of motivation, willpower, it works, and then real life kicks in. You're like, wait a minute, do I want to live without carbs, or do I want to live on 2 shakes and a dinner? And then you start to think, actually, this isn't, like you said, not sustainable. And then before you know it, fall off the wagon, and the weight comes back. And most people who watch this interview, whether it's now or in the future, will probably resonate with that yo-yo dieting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just your classic yo-yo dieter. I've tried, different things, and a lot of the time it's been. I think the reason I've fallen off the wagon is because I've been doing things which I've kind of fundamentally not really enjoyed, and like motivation's great and all the rest of it, but being motivated all the time is really tiring. I find it really tiring.
Yeah.
So
it's not possible either.
It's not possible, and you're always gonna fluctuate. But really, if you can get into kind of good discipline with things, and things just become a bit more automatic, then that's probably what's made a really big difference compared to previous attempts where I've been quite restrictive and cutting things out and things I enjoy, and you end up missing them and then just gorging on them.
Well, sorry, I think I remember in your first ever in the questionnaire you sent me. I think I remember you saying, being overweight, maybe you were wondering what you would maybe would achieve more in your life or done more if you'd been. Do I remember you saying that? Is that what this is going to lead me on to the question of don't go into as much detail you want, but how has maybe being overweight? How did that stop you doing things in the past? Or where did that really? What did you lay in bed at night and think? Or was it just health you worried about, or did it? Were you unable to wear clothes that you like? What was the worst part of it? Like what made you really want to change that?
It was all sorts really. It felt like in certain instances, it felt like a real restriction on your life at times. So I guess. Certainly in the early part of my career, I reckon it probably held me back because I was just so tired all the time. So in kind of what I do now, I like work in the pensions industry, but I had to study for a load of exams, and they probably took me longer than they should have done,
right?
Being perfectly honest, because I reckon being overweight and being very lethargic really impacted my motivation to pass those exams. I got there in the end. It took me like 10 years rather than 5 or 6. So it was difficult. I guess other things as well. And I think about when I quite enjoy getting on a plane and going somewhere. It's actually when you're a 6'4" guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably worth mentioning you are quite tall as well. You are 6'4", so
6'4". So getting on a plane, sometimes you have to really kind of wedge yourself into the seat, and eventually got to a stage where some airlines you're asking for like an extra belt,
right?
The belt wouldn't reach round.
And there's obviously an embarrassment level to that.
Oh, that's it's quite embarrassing, and it's just extremely uncomfortable, particularly when you've not got any leg room anyway. You don't have to worry about that. You're tiny.
Yeah, I'm 3'5", mate. I'm all right. That's perfect. So what we've had is the same as a lot of people. A journey of just trying and failing, trying different fad diets that are not sustainable. Typical things I hear, it's affected things like a lot of the people I work with are either career driven or business owners. They need to be, able to deal with stress, have the energy a lot of them have got kids as well. So you get to a point a year ago where the tipping point was essentially, or the big why that changed was seeing your parents basically aging. And I get this a lot. I do hear this a lot. At some point, it's like your own mortality. Like I said, you start to see it think shit. I had very similar, when my mum died, and you start to realize that people around you're getting to that age where you need to be more careful with your health. So then let's go on to how you found the last year, because I'm guessing obviously everyone watching this is going to be interested in maybe some tips or what we've done, and might want to know about the skip loading. Just let's talk about what the last 14 months has been. How has it been different to the way you've dieted in the past? Is probably a good place to start.
Yeah, I mean, if I told you like the average thing I kind of eat in a day right now, it's very different to probably what I thought I should have been eating to lose weight. So, for example, today I tend to have in the morning. I'll have a Huel. You've probably heard of Huel by now. It's quite popular, or like some eggs on toast. I'll have a couple of protein shakes in the day. I had a microwave vindaloo for lunch, and then I've got meatballs and pasta for dinner. And it's not not low fat, low sugar, bad stuff you'll get in a supermarket. It's just that's what I like eating, and it works with my calories.
And this is what most people need to write. If there's one thing, if we stop the interview now, that's probably the most important thing. Well, two things we've got is what changed this year is you had probably a stronger why, a stronger reason to do it, because you start to realize it's more important. But the diet was not a fad diet. Like you're eating things where you're eating things that people watching this might be like, what? He's having pasta, or he's having this. And then when we go on to skip loading, it'll probably blow their minds. But that's the way you build a sustainable lifestyle as opposed to a diet. You're able to eat food you like. Yeah, there's some restriction. Yeah, there's some self-control. You do have days where it's harder, right? Which we will explain. But really what happened is you carried on eating food you liked, and we just made sure you got the portions right. It's really about it.
No, that's it. I mean, I think the big thing for me, certainly when I started, I remember you sent me a plan. And he said, right, we're going to start you on 3,400 calories a day. I thought, what's Phil talking about? I'm not going to lose weight eating 3,400 calories every day. So now this was, of course, when I was like 24 and a half stone. I just thought, yeah, I'm just going to have to bin this guy who doesn't know what he's talking about. And lo and behold, first week, I was down 4 pounds. First week, eating 3,400 calories a day. I thought, okay, well, maybe it's just, it's the first week when you've been on a diet.
Where would you put those calories? If you had done it on your own? What would you reckon? What would you have guessed they needed to be?
Oh well, that's a really good point actually, because when I've tried dieting before, at that weight, I've probably gone, but somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500. Which is significantly different, right? So I think probably my most successful period of dieting prior to us working together, I probably lasted 5 or 6 months. And I remember having 2,200 calories a day. I was really hitting the gym. I was doing the 5-3-1 program. You probably heard of that.
I did it for a while,
squatting and deadlifting. Did quite well with that, but eventually it got to the stage where I was just hungry all the time. I just could not take it any further, no matter what I did. So, the step change kind of this time round was I started on, frankly, what even now seems like quite a large amount of calories each day.
Where are they now?
So it's about 2,700 now.
Wait. So you've lost all that weight, and I know but we've basically lost over 100 pounds or that 7 odd stone. Yeah, and the calories actually haven't gone below where you wanted to start them.
That's a good point actually. 2,700 a day, and that would still. I mean, I've been eating a little bit more the past couple of months. I actually met my long-term goal a couple of months ago, and it's just been maintaining a bit more. So I've been eating a bit more, but still, quite a lot of calories each day.
So that was a big change, really. And this is, if more people could do this, if you've got a diet that doesn't exclude foods, doesn't give you, and when I say exclude foods, I normally refer to these as like bullshit diet rules, the things that people think are the rules you have to do to lose weight. You can't eat after a certain time, you have to eat 6 million meals a day, all these little things, whatever it is. Some people think you have to fast, some people think it has to be low carb. Those rules, when you take those away and you eat foods that you enjoy and you don't starve yourself, because like you said, the limiting factor for some people is just the sheer hunger stops them. If they could deal with it for longer, it could work. But if those do carry on, they tend to be the ones that get to the end of the diet and then rebound because they binge at the end. So really, the two take homes there were really that we started the calories higher, over 1,000, like 1,000 higher than you thought, and that there's no you're eating foods that you enjoy, so there's less of a temptation to kind of, you don't get that build up of cravings. And like, if you don't, people that don't know, like willpower is a finite like resource, like, but there's been studies done where like they test people, like they put them into a room with cookie smells and they test people's willpower, and it doesn't last very long. And this goes back to the motivation thing. So that's kind of I guess that sums up the diet really in a way. Like said you're eating pastas and curries. What did it feel like when I said to you, I don't know where we started with the skip loading, but I would have said to you, Simon, this weekend I want you to eat, it's probably 4 or 5 hours, I can't remember precisely, of junk food. How did that? I can't remember what your reaction was, but you must have thought I was mental.
I can confirm I did think you were mental, especially after eating. So I think it was probably 6 or 7 weeks in before we started.
Normally, I'd say you want it, yeah.
And I think the first thing you told me to do was just on Sunday evening. I think it was only 2 hours to start with. Just have whatever you like. And I went pretty nuts in the end. And I actually emailed you the next day and said, Phil, I think I've overdone it. I think I had about 5,000 calories in 2 hours.
It's a good, yeah. Well, yeah, that's a good.
And I think I had, Domino pizza and load of sweets, stuff like that. I thought, I think I might have done this wrong, mate. And then
I remember you saying.
Lo and behold, like the next week, I just went through this period of time. You'll probably remember where we were just losing 2 pounds every week, 2 pounds every week. No matter what I seemed to do, it was just there's a long period of time. It was just really, really consistent.
I found that if you get the calories right, get the training right, and you use for those that know, the skip loading, it was something I learned from my bodybuilding coach, Ken Skip Hill. And I obviously now had him as a mentor for a few years, which is why I'm allowed to do it, because I work with him and become like a skip approved trainer. So I use that with just normal people now. And the reason for it is the refeeds are there to boost the metabolism. So you get this like metabolism drops from dieting, and then the weekly, it's like he would use the analogy of your metabolism is like a fire, and the carbs and the sugar and the calories are like pouring gas. You'd say gas because it's American. And if you get all those things right, and it doesn't always happen, but it really, if you can get all the things in place, you really do. I have found since I learned how to do the skip loading and I've learned some other bits, I'm getting far more consistent weight loss. People going through periods of 2, 3, 4 months with no dietary changes. And what blows my mind usually is that I'm not taking the calories down. I'm not changing the cardio, but the skip load goes up. So it becomes 4 hours, 5 hours. I think did you get to 10 hours?
Yeah, I got to 12 hours. So it was pretty much just one day a week, just go nuts.
How did that impact your ability to stay on track? Because I remember saying, and if you're similar to me and most people, that you might, you dieted for over a year, you're going to get to the point where you start to get hungry later in the week. But what was it like knowing that there was the light at the end of the tunnel was at the end of each week, as opposed to maybe in the past, you get people that say, like, I'm not going to eat a pizza till I go on holiday, and it might be a 6-month period. Was that easier was that light at the end of the tunnel being like at the end of every week? Did it make it easier to stay on the plan during the week?
Yeah, it did. It definitely increased compliance. So I think there's probably a few reasons for that. I think one, so when I kind of reflect back on when I've tried dieting before, tried to lose weight before, I've not really kind of had that mindset. You're always thinking, certainly because of the amount of weight I felt I need to lose, you're always thinking like a year into the future. And that's huge. That's really daunting, really daunting. And if you think big picture all the time, that can be quite overwhelming. And it's easy, another excuse, too hard, not going to do it. But when you're thinking, I've only got to get to the end of this week, and then I can have whatever I like. That makes things an awful lot easier. So it's not like I was particularly like strict on certain foods during the week. Just keep within that. It's all about the calories and getting a good amount of protein. That's probably two of the best.
Yeah, that is really it.
Advice.
Yeah,
anyone needs really. But knowing you can get to Sunday and have whatever you like made things a lot easier. And as you know, like every Sunday, I go for it pretty hard.
Yeah.
If you actually watch me during the day, you'd probably be quite disgusted with.
No, I'm the same. I would like nap for 5 minutes, get up and eat again. Nap for half an hour, get up and eat. It's like I can.
I think Sunday just gone. I cooked breakfast for me and the missus in the morning, just like a bit of a fry up. But before I'd eaten that breakfast, I'd had 6 Mr. Kipling lemon slices.
Yeah, I used to say that I would on a Sunday would go and visit my granddad, and in Reading, my granddad lived probably about 1.5 miles. So I would drive to the petrol station because they had the Pop-Tarts I liked and like chocolate. And in the time I would drive to my granddad's, which is a 5-6 minute drive, I would put 2,000 calories away. I just think to myself, this is ludicrous, but it works. No, if anyone's thinking, oh, is that bad for you? At the end of the day, the rest of the week, bad health comes from usually elevated blood sugars all through the week. So if we were to skip load every day, even if you had your calories in place, you wouldn't want the blood sugars always high. And then the day, probably the best thing you can do for your health is to lose weight. So the once a week, the little binge, if you want to think of it, it doesn't actually really, it's actually fairly, doesn't affect health. And it promotes, keeps you, maintains your metabolism. Normally people train harder the day after for psychological reasons and because you're fueled up, it's like filling up a car. And, I feel like the whole process, we've got the flexibility of the food, there's less hunger, and you got the skip load at the end. All those things helped. How has it been? Because this is something I want to talk about. It's obviously December the 2nd or something like that. There are going to be people watching this that are doing the same as you. I'll wait to the new year. I think it's the wrong thing because I think even if you start now, you could start getting the habits in place, maybe just making some better choices, and you could still enjoy Christmas. You obviously started in October. You got through like Christmas, New Year. I remember you moved house. You've had stressful times with work. How have you dealt with those kind of things? How was it doing it around with? How was it? How did you do it? Like, how did you find it?
Yeah, I mean, on the starting in October point, I think one of the most kind of powerful things I did was actually write down all the reasons I had for like wanting to do this.
In the questionnaire, I had to do that as well.
Yeah. And that had a really profound effect on me. I just thought I could just leave it to a new year. I could do that, or I could realise that if I just do the same sort of things I've done before, I'm just going to get the same results. So if I can't, the best time to start anything is right now, in my opinion.
Of course.
Because I think you can't just wait for a period of time when you think, right, well, I've not got much on over the next few months. I'll just hit my weight loss then, because that was always my mindset. And I thought if I have to kind of change that mindset somehow, if I'm going to kind of get anywhere with this. So I can't remember. I can't remember what you post a lot of content on your site. I can't remember what it was, but it just really got me thinking. It's like, right, I'm gonna contact Phil and have a conversation with you and just try and get things moving. And I just thought, if I can't do it right now, then I'm just gonna kind of fall into my old habits, as it were.
Yeah, I think we talked about it before we started. It gives you an excuse to put it off. Oh, it's the Christmas period, I'm going to start it again. And then I've always said, like we said before this, and I've said this a lot of times, is once you get to your 30s, 40s, and 50s, you have bills to pay, kids, family, you have commitments. Life's never going to be simple. You're never going to get a clear run. You might get a couple of weeks, and I get it. I have people that contact me and say, I'll be back in a couple of weeks because I've got something. I'm going away on holiday. Fair enough. If you've got a holiday in a couple of days, but I'll get people to say stuff like, yeah, well, I need to lose 50 pounds. I hate it. They have all these whys, like, I want to be around for my kids. I don't want to die and all this stuff. And they say, well, it's my wife's, I've got to have a drink this weekend because, it's the football's on. And I think, like, Are you really that bothered to do it or not? And I said, like, I want to. The thing is about it is, you need to learn how to lose weight, but you need to learn how to sustain the weight loss. For many people, the biggest thing is going to be achieving their goal. And even those that do achieve their goal, how do you lose weight, get in shape, feel great, and then keep it off for the next 50 years, 20 years, 40 years, whatever it is? Well, you're going to have to do it with life getting in the way. And that's the thing I like about the way we do it. It's like, because we've got less, again, I think the reason why it's so much easier to be successful in the way we do it in the program is, instead of having, like, again, the more rules you have, the more rigid something is, the less flexibility you have. So you've got this sense of, like, I use the example quite a lot of the ketogenic diet. You'll have someone who goes, right, I got a clear run, I'll do the keto diet, I'm going to go low carb. They do 2 weeks, lose some weight, and then one of their fucking mates invites them to, like, an Italian. And then they got this choice of, like, wait a minute, now how do I do I go there and feel guilty? I've heard of men, like, people not going. So it makes it very, very difficult to navigate through life when you've got all these bullshit rules to follow. But with you, it was like, okay, we've got calories, protein, at the weekend there's a skip load, which we can move the skip load. And it becomes a lot easier to deal with Christmas, New Year. And I think really the most important thing is I think hope is coming through is the mindset change of it being like, this isn't something I'm just going to do in the next, you made a good point. I think if you, before we went on to this next kind of chat, when you think of it because you knew it's going to be a year, actually you knew your goal was 14 months away. When you look at it as 14 months of dieting is quite daunting, but when you break it up into just daily habits, can I just go a day here, a day there, makes it a lot easier to do. I think you've done really well, but the reason I think that's important is because this year we've had the lockdowns. How have you found it? Because I know a lot of people, I think there's a small percentage that carried on, but I think a large percentage gained weight.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of didn't answer your previous question, because there's been so much that's kind of happened in the past 14 months, and it would all be things that would, give me excuses to fall off the wagon. So we've obviously had, a global pandemic, which we're still in the middle of, and hopefully, touch wood, we're coming to the end of if all these vaccines do their thing. But that's been difficult to navigate for various reasons. But at the same time, change in the world's a constant. The world's always going to change, and things are always going to happen, and there's always going to have to be things you need to deal with. You're never going to get that clear run. But if I look at kind of my year, I've had birthday last year, navigated Christmas, which is traditionally a time where I would put on about a stone. Same with lots of other people as well. New Year's, having to move house. Both my parents have been ill at different times this year. I've been getting to grips with a new job, which has been, really, really tough on my mental health as well. And all these things, all would have been, excuses to, just fall off the wagon and just think, sod this, I'm not doing this anymore. Leave it to, when things have calmed down a bit. But the reality is, things are never going to, calm down. There's always going to be something. And you mentioned earlier, the key was, being able to adapt and be flexible. So, during the first lockdown, where everything literally locked down for a little while, including the gyms, which was really tough because I was getting into the gym, and the gym's really important for my mental health as well as my physical health. So it was adapting to doing home workouts and having never really done that before, and just trying to get motivated to go into the back garden and do some resistance training. That was another change in mindset as well. But we talked about that, and I bought some really basic equipment. And for what must have been 4 or 5 months in the end, I didn't go back to the gym immediately when they reopened. I think it might have been the end of July, maybe they reopened, but made some reasonable progress still throughout all of that.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah.
Perfect.
So we got this situation. So we fixed, it starts to build a picture, which is common, which I see all the time. You've got probably a more important why, or you've taken more time to sit down and really. I think it's really powerful writing down stuff as opposed to a thing you write down like, I want to be there for my kids, or you don't have kids, you might want kids. It might be like, I don't want to be a 24 stone dad, and so it starts to give you these reasons to do it. So that's the kind of the mindset and the why. The strategies you were using in the past in terms of diets. I mean, like I said, you enjoy training. That was not really a problem. All we had to do was match the right trainings. You know, you got some injury and stuff, but the diet was the big thing. So we've made that as easy as we can make it. Using that term loosely, we've made it as easy as possible. How important has the accountability and the support been of having me there?
Oh, mate, that's if I had to kind of pinpoint one thing which has made the real difference is that accountability. Because so it's not just you either. I made the decision to just tell a lot of my close personal friends as well what I was doing, and
Right.
so you would I would share my progress photos with you, and you've shared them on your page.
Yeah.
But I would share those with my friends as well on our WhatsApp group. Get loads of banter back because I'm
Of course.
in my boxer shorts.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Mm.
Everything on show. But in general, everyone's been really supportive, and that actually just keeps you going.
Yeah.
Particularly when people start noticing as well, people you haven't told. So I've been working from home, pretty much since the end of February. And even people like work colleagues were saying, "Oh, Simon, look like you've shifted a bit of timber," and even be able to identify that over a Zoom call.
Yeah.
That was quite a big thing for me as well. But yeah, the accountability absolutely huge because so we talked about compliance because of skip loads. So knowing I can have whatever I want to eat it was every Sunday for me pretty much. Occasionally we would change that depending on what I was up to. The other thing was, I want to be able to check in with Phil and be able to say made more progress this week, and that was hugely powerful for me because I've not really had that before. And the way I kind of checked in with you was very data driven. What did you eat last week? Skip load. What have your average calories been? What training have you done? And I'd spend 10 minutes compiling this information, and I just got into the habit of doing that every Sunday morning, and that's really powerful because I didn't want to turn up and say, "Oh, Phil, I've put on 7 pounds this week because I thought I'd have pizza every night." Because that was always kind of the back of my mind. Something else that was pretty good at home, and some of my missus did. She just bought me something really simple, just this chalkboard, and it was just entitled "Weight Loss Journey." And every week we would write how much I'd lost that week, how many pounds there were until my target, and how many I'd lost so far.
Very nice.
That's just in our kitchen, and I see it every day. And that's quite motivating as well.
Was that in your kitchen for a reason?
To be near well, the reason was there's lots of places to hang it, but actually, I think going, that's the place you go to, eat.
Right, yeah, that's why I asked.
Yeah,
that's a really good idea. I like that.
That wasn't a specific reason for it, but I can see the benefit of.
Yeah, I know, like most of the guys I work with are data driven. Like you sent me the graph today of and John, my client John's got most of his weight. I think he hasn't missed a day on his graph for something like 4 years. He's got like this massive graph, and it's epic to see like dieting and gaining muscle and skip loads, and it's just a great. And when you sent me that one today, it's great. And I did a post on it and I zoomed in, I kind of cropped it around December just to show that there were these little spikes and, but the overall trend was coming down. I think most people lack, it sounds like you had a really good experience because a lot of people, and I wrote a post recently about this, is not everyone gets that support from people. It sounds like you had a quite good experience. I do find that a lot of people don't, it sounds like everyone around you has been really supportive, which is really good. But so those that people don't have the support of friends, I feel like that's why Facebook communities or a coach are really important because I just don't think you can go a whole year. It doesn't matter how good the strategy is and the why, having someone there to be accountable. And two, and let's be honest, you also were paying money and people don't want to waste money. I think having skin in the game, John, my client, had a friend that was very similar to you. He was like 23, 24 stone. His mate was saying to him, look, you're going to die. Like, long story short, you're going to die. And there was in the pub, his mate fucked off to the toilet. And by the time his mate come back, he said, look, here's £3,000. There's £3,000 in your bank account. if I don't lose 3 stone, you can keep the money. And he was like, there's no, and just, when you start to put all these things together, a good why, a good strategy, support from family, a coach, some skin in the game, you start to make it as probably as easy as it possibly can be. Where people go wrong is no support, no accountability. They don't really know why they're doing it. They've got a diet they hate, and they got, how can you succeed under those circumstances? How's it been working with me? I'm going to ask this question just to see, because it'd be interesting to see what you say, especially in the beginning. You thought it was mad because they gave me 3,000 calories.
It's been all right. It could have been better.
It always can be better, mate.
It's been really good, actually, Phil. I mean, any time I've kind of had an issue along the way, which, to be fair, hasn't happened that often.
It's true.
Where I might have gone wrong in the past is, hitting a plateau in a week, panicking, and just thinking, well, I've gone as far as I can go. I just won't bother anymore. So that, again, just that would be another kind of excuse I would have used in the past. But kind of one of the more powerful things each week is that there'd been a few weeks where it's like, Phil, I feel like I've done everything right. I've done everything you've said to do. Not lost any weight. Why has that happened? And I remember there was one particular week where I thought I'd had a solid week in terms of, I don't think I'd eaten any like chocolate or anything where I could have overestimated how much I was eating. But I'd still not lost any weight. I think you said was just, well, if you have done everything right, just do the same next week. It might just be water retention. And lo and behold, I think the week after I ended up losing 3 or 4 pounds. So in the past, I might have either done something drastic and like really slash my calories, or just said, not going to bother with this anymore. So yeah, it's been really good. And one of the other things that's really worked for me is that, because you've kind of set everything for me, you set my training plan around my injuries. You told me, what calories and protein to have. It's just taken the thinking and decision making out of all of it, and that's been quite good, because I can just focus on other things. I know as long as I end up just doing what you've told me in a week, I'll probably succeed that week.
Yeah, and that's actually very important.
Here we are, 14 months later. Achieved my goal a couple of months ago. The last couple of months have been quite slow, but I've not really had that why anymore.
No, we'll go to that in a minute. You got to hit a good point there, actually. It's much more the strategy of, in the past, and I still see, I'm in a coaching group at the moment with other PTs and stuff like, and a lot of them are still doing the old school meal plan, 6 a.m. I want you to have a cup of rice or oats. And it's what I found has been better for the like people that I work is just almost like fill the gaps. Here's what I want you to fill the gaps with My Fitness Pal. It's so easy now. And I was the same when I did my bodybuilding competition. It was so nice to take the thinking out of it. It was like, I know what I need to do. I can just track the data. And I can just, and that's when I first started to do it more of I learned that from Skip. I went on to more of a macronutrient based plan. He did the same. It was a bit stricter than what I give my clients, because obviously I was doing a competition, but it was more of a macronutrient based plan. Here's a list of foods, create your meals based on that, which meant I was able to, I remember I was eating bagel burgers and stuff, and it made it a lot easier. Also, I think what's important that a lot of people won't have watching this is the strategy. And what I mean by that is, you ask someone, how are you going to lose weight? The most thing they'll probably say is, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to cut my carbs as far as it goes. They may weigh themselves, but then what you've got this situation is, if you hit a plateau, what do you do? Like, you haven't tracked any of the numbers. How do you change the strategy? Or, like you said, you had a week where you didn't lose any weight, you didn't panic, and then the week later it was, things like water retention are really common. It's in that, again, the important thing there is the importance of having an extra pair of eyes that know what to look for. So I feel like that is, again, for most people, that's another piece of the jigsaw, really, is the strategy and the support and the accountability. The fun part now, then, what you've lost you've lost over 7 stone. Like you said, you've done that about a couple of months ago. You're on a bit of, things have slowed down a little bit, but you're in a great position now. Like, what's different now? Like, how does it feel to have done it? Like, from a psychological point of view, what's better in life, energy? What's changed?
it's been really good, and sometimes I think I probably take it for granted a little bit. But occasionally you'll get asked a question by someone, and you'll think, "Oh, I didn't really think about that." So one of my pals, Danny, asked me, "Oh, how are your knees these days?" And I thought, you know what? So as kind of a bit of history, I had terrible knees. I've had 2 operations on my left knee. I was really struggling with pain for a long time, and I hadn't actually thought about my left knee for a long time. Pain hadn't been there, and it's other things, quite simple things like, I can tie my shoelaces without, almost suffocating myself because my gut was on my leg, or the missus isn't complaining about me snoring because I don't apparently snore anymore, which is a big win.
Yeah, of course.
And interestingly, we were in bed the other day, and she said, "Oh, I actually feel like I've got my half of the bed now."
Right.
Because like previously, I was just, like dominating it.
Of course.
Heavy. So if you look at the pictures, I'm massively different in just stature.
It's like a different man. You've lost 100 pounds, man. That's like, it's a small person, isn't it? Like,
it is a small person, and it's, got more energy, a bit more motivation to go and do things. Like I do more things around the house. Again, a simple thing, but I was lethargic a lot of the time, and now I'll do chores. I won't have the missus on my back about not having done.
Yeah, I hear a lot of this stuff.
As much, but
yeah. I hear a lot of this is like, guys, at the end of the day, you're carrying 100 pounds of extra weight. You're not exercising. You're not fit. You're like you're busy with work. The last thing you want to do is clean and stuff and do it. But we should help out. And I hear a lot of this. This is a good point to remember is that those watching this is that when you're overweight, it affects people around you. You may not realize it. It's affecting whether that's your family are worried about you dropping dead. You're not pulling your weight. It's just little things like I hadn't even thought about it, but you just saying like about you taking up most of the bed. Like it's just such a.
Oh yeah.
I hadn't even thought about it.
It's things like that, and part of the reason I chose kind of 18 stone as my goal was occasionally like Laura would suggest things that we go and do. She's like, "Oh, should we go like zip wiring?" I'm like, "Well, I can't because I'm over 18 stone." Or should we do a helicopter ride sometime? And it's always 18 stone seemed to be, if you're heavier than 18 stone, you couldn't do these things. And just thought it'd be good to actually do this sort of thing at some point. Not like, obviously not all the time, not made of money, but being able to just have the option to go and do these things.
It's opportunity. You're losing opportunities from being
overweight. And it's not massive things, but it does affect you. Being able to say, "Oh, I physically can't do that." That's pretty tough. So I don't have that now.
Have you done the classic put your old jeans on yet?
Oh yeah, I've done that. So we moved house end of August, and as part of that, I had to basically clear out my entire wardrobe. But I did put one of my suits on. I have to send
yeah, that'd be really good to see.
I look like I'm a kid and wearing my dad's suit.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
It's absolutely ridiculous. In fact, I sent this picture to my mates, and one of my mates made this cardboard cutout of me, like with my trousers had actually fallen down.
That's amazing.
They wouldn't just stay up. They were like 50-inch trousers, big trousers.
Yeah, Jesus.
And now like a 38 waist now, so that's 12 inches.
It's a lot.
Very, very biggest.
And you're always going to be, like I said, you're 6'4". You're always going to be. You're not going to be like. You're never going to be skinny. So it's like, what's next? Now we get past like I said before we started. You've dieted for 14 odd months. Probably worth this is the good thing about doing stuff like this. You've got the option of maintaining. You know how to do it. And what's the goals going forward in the new year? Like, I know not to be like a new year, new me, but I feel like you've earned the right to kind of just back off a little bit because you need to back off sometimes because of here. What will you do next now? Like to kind of, because we were saying your why was very powerful in the beginning. I don't want to die and all this and this. Now you're comfortable. You have to find new goals and new whys because otherwise it's risky not trying to achieve more because it's easy to go backwards. Have you got anything in mind?
I mean, something I definitely want to do is make sure I don't go above like 18 stone. bar the day after a skip load. That's
Of course,
fine,
yeah,
of
yeah,
course. But I think that in terms of a lifelong goal, making sure I never go above that again, and sleepwalk into being 24, 25. I was 26 stone at one stage, like about
yeah.
5 or 6 years ago. So even
Jesus,
heavier
yeah.
than when we started working together. Um, but I think I've got to think about that. But I kind of look at my pictures now that I've sent you. I think it would be good to just get rid of my love handles. Still got a couple
Yeah.
of little love handles, much smaller than they were. Be
Yeah.
good to get rid of those and really lean down. But I'm not gonna kill myself to do it.
No,
At
of
the same
course.
time, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do what you did a few years
No, of
ago
course.
and get on stage or anything like that.
Well,
Nothing.
at the end of the day, the option's there, but no, like you said, you've got a life to live as well, and that's really the what most of the people watching this will want is how do I do what Simon's done and not sacrifice too much in terms of I don't want to live in the gym, I don't want to starve, and if you do that, it's going to be short lived. But we've nailed it. What have you got any? And it'd be interesting to ask you this. What do you have any tips for people watching, or just things that you think of, like maybe one or two things that you think have been really, really important to the success in your mind?
Yeah, I think the key thing is just the kind of accumulation of just the small habits and
Mm.
the power that brings. So if I just look at what I do now. So I've got this spreadsheet where I weigh myself every day, which might sound obsessive, but to me, because your weight fluctuates quite a lot
Mm.
for various reasons, not just because you've lost fat, you get to see what that looks like over time. So it gives you a better idea of your actual progress rather than focusing on just one day, because
Yeah,
that's less
that's an
meaningful.
important point because if you, especially for women watching this, if they can gain water weight it fluctuates so much more than men, especially around the menstrual cycle. You could miss a low. I think the key to weighing every day is to separate the emotion from it. It's just a fucking number. It goes up or down, and it will trend down. If it doesn't trend down or it doesn't go down, then you can just look at the data and change something. It's almost like you want to be like I was in a business program. And they used to say it was related to your marketing in business, but they used to say if you come on the Q&A, bring your data and not your drama. And that was basically saying we don't care what's happened, just bring your fucking spreadsheet and we'll fix the business with the spreadsheet. And that's if more people could do that with their fitness, they could just look at it as just a load of things that happened. Like going back to what you said earlier, if you do everything right, you choose the right foods, you hit your calories, you do your step count, you train, and nothing changes. That's not your fault. The plan didn't work, and that's where you need someone to say, okay, change X, Y, and Z. But I think it's it only feels obsessive if you put too much emotion onto it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's just a data point. It's just accumulating data. Um, so my Fitness Pal, if you want to track your calories, it's so easy to do. It takes 5 minutes a day, if that. And that just helps you monitor your progress day to day. Accountability is hugely important as well. In fact, if there was one thing, get some accountability, some real accountability as well. And we've mentioned lots of different things throughout this. Doesn't necessarily have to be hire a coach to help you, but
Doesn't know.
just tell your friends and tell them you're going to check in with them every week about how you're doing, and make them get on your back about it as well. Get them invested in the journey, because I found that really motivational. Having my parents and my close friends asking me about it all the time, it just reduces the chance of you sleepwalking into putting on more weight again.
I love that term, by the way, sleepwalking into it. Like it's easily done.
That's exactly what happened, mate. Over the past 10, 15 years, there were big periods of time where I just didn't think about it at all. And you wake up one day. In fact, I remember a few years ago, me and the missus in our first flat together. I was painting one day and I did my back in just painting. I was just on the floor and my knee really hurt. My back, I just couldn't get up because I'd slipped a disc. I just thought to myself, like, surely things can be better than this. What a sorry state of affairs. But even then, I didn't think about doing anything. It was only until I really wrote stuff down and thought about, some of the dark moments I've had that's been related to my weight that's actually geared me into doing something.
Yeah, I say this a lot. It's very easy to pretend things could be worse, or as men, we bury. It's easy to bury it. To bury those emotions. But when you actually write down on paper all the things that maybe it's something you've been embarrassed about, or you worried about dying, you write it out there on paper. It's like shit. It's much more real than when you do it. I think it's really important. I try and have most of my clients write out their why. For me, the important things really we covered really is, and this is what the program is more based around. Kind of is education to make sure that you don't get suckered into doing stupid shit that you hate. The strategy being tailored to yourself. Your diet isn't going to look the same as John's, and it wouldn't look the same as a smaller female. And having accountability and support in some form to make sure that you got someone to answer the questions. Because like you said, you're always going to have questions, and you're sometimes going to need someone to give you a kick up the arse or a little bit of jeering up. And if you have those things in place, it's not easy, but it's far easier than doing it on your own. Trying to follow a cabbage diet, for example. It's mad. It seems mad that people do it, but I guess what happens is, in my opinion, people get so desperate and they want to rush it. What I liked about you as well, kind of almost start to finish up, is you knew it was going to take time. You didn't come to me and say, I want to be 18 stone in 3 months. It was like, I'm going to do it for my 40th. We've got over a year. Let's just chip away. And now, because you've done that, a year seems like a long time, but now here you are. The time passes anyway. Like you might as well start. This is why I think people should start now. I'm not saying you need to get stuck in now, but people watching this could say, right, it is December. I'm still gonna eat Christmas Day, Boxing Day. I'm gonna eat like a fat pig, like the whole time. But I could still go to the gym on those days I'm not. I can still, if you're watching this and you haven't done it, you don't know. You could still start to, little things, increase your step count every day, and just start to get that momentum for going into the new year. I just think waiting to the new year, like you said, like it just sets a bad tone. It's almost like fake motivation. You're doing it just because like everyone else is doing it. New year, new me, drives me mental.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the key as well. It's like you do need that motivation to get you started, but it's discipline what keeps you going. I mean,
of course,
been so many days where I thought, don't really fancy going to the gym today, or I don't think I'm going to have a good session at the gym today. And there's been days where I walked into the gym, done like a couple of sets, and walked out again. But the fact I've gone is better than staying at home and ordering a Domino's or something.
Yeah, no, that's the point. A little bit is better than nothing. And I'm gonna probably worth wrap that. I feel that covers it. I'm glad we've gone through that, and I hope anyone watching this is like thinking to themselves, if Simon can do it, like with all due respect, anyone can do it, right? As long as we put in place the right strategy and the accountability and all those things we've discussed. I don't think anyone, and there'll be people watching this who don't have to lose 100 pounds. They might only need to lose 10, 15 or 20. Well, that might only be 10 to 15 weeks of work and then sustaining it after. Finally then, mate, just want to say, firstly, it's been incredible being a part of it and being the guy that's helped you out. And honestly, I think I love seeing these big changes. And it's been so easy to work with you. Sometimes it's been too easy. It's just like checks in. Sometimes that's £2. I just feel bad to almost just reply, well done, keep going. But that's how when things fall in.
Sometimes though,
so that's all. Sometimes and we didn't cover it, but sometimes people want to make changes for no reason. But super proud and super happy to be a part of it. I'm so glad that you've done it, and now you've. I imagine you'd say it feels like you've changed your life because it's put you in a position now where I always say if you can get the strategy right and you can do it in the way you've done it, something quite serious would have to go back. I would feel like something quite dramatic would have to change to ruin all this work that you've done. So hopefully now you won't ever see Simon at over 18 stone ever again, and now you can focus on more fun goals like maybe getting a little bit leaner, but, muscle building, strength gain, and maybe you're at the point now where you can focus more on the sculpting of the physique, which a lot of men don't ever, or women as well, don't ever get to. They're always perpetually weight loss dieting.
That's it. It's a really nice position to be in because I could take it, different ways and just see where we go. But lifelong goal is make sure I don't kind of get to that place again where I'm 20 plus stone and just miserable with it. So.
Yeah, it's great. I've just gone into the comments actually, and there's people like saying it's amazing. Some people have said hello, but I don't have them as friends. It just says Facebook user. But hi, lots of happy birthday messages, and I'm guessing this is a friend. This is a friend. Danny O'Neill said he's so proud of you, and so yeah, good. It's been good, mate. I'm gonna probably finish it up there because obviously you want to be respectful of your time, and I feel like we've covered loads of stuff there. All I'm going to say really to finish is if anybody wants help with that, some advice or wants to do what Simon's done, just send me a message with the word Christmas and let's have a chat. It could be a case of in 3 months, 6 months, or maybe a year that you could be doing an interview like this with me, and have lost a ton of weight and feeling great. So you know what to do, guys. Cheers for that, Simon. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having him on, mate. Yeah.
And enjoy your birthday tomorrow. I'm sure you will. And
I will.
Loads of food. What have you got planned? Are you going out for dinner? What's
Laura's taken me to the Heinz Head in Bray, so I've never been there before, so that'll be nice.
Excellent, awesome. Right, I think that's it. I think I will let you go, mate, but I'll stay on for a few more minutes and see if there's any questions, and then I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, grand. Thanks very much.
Cheers for that, mate. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Right, just me left. If there's any questions, anyone's watching still that has any questions, I'm not really in any rush, although I am very, very hungry. Hopefully that was I'd love, for me personally, I can write all the content that I can write all the content. I can tell you experiences from my clients. I can share screen grabs, emails of them, but getting them on these interviews, and I'm going to try and get one done every week now. I feel is just so much more powerful because I think just listening to that journey in Simon's own words and what he struggles with, I feel like that should resonate with a lot of you. Hopefully that helps. But if there's no questions, I'm going to jump off and get some food. Right. Cheers for checking in. Like I said, if you want some help with this, if you're thinking, I would like to do what Simon's done, and I've got the same problem, send me a message. You can't send me a message with the word Christmas. We'll have a chat, see where you are, see what you've been struggling with, where you want to go. And maybe I'll be able to help you out too. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you soon.